welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the tune Blues, number 18 in our packet. Today we're going to discuss not just the melody, but we're going to also talk about the chords. The chords that we had before, or that we have in our packet, are correct, but we referred to those as open chords. So our G7, our C7, and our D7, which are played like this: G7, C7, and D7. Those are all relatively within our what we call the open chord set. But because of the nature of the title of this tune called Blues, we need to talk about how blues players play, because this is kind of in that arena and it's good for us to practice. So first off, we're going to do the melody, and then we're going to discuss the chord structure and how we practice the chords. So first thing is, let's get on to measure one. So measure one, we have B, B, D, E. Let's go ahead and play that. 1, 2, ready, go. B, B, D, E. Okay? Now the next measure, we have G, E, D, C. Let's go ahead and play that. 2, ready, go. G, E, D, C. Okay, let's put those two together. 1, 2, 3, 4. B, B, D, E, G, E, D, C. Okay, now we look at the third measure. It's exactly the same as the first. Let's go ahead and play it. Ready, go. B, B, D, E, and then G for a half note, and then F for a half note. Let's play that whole first line. 1, 2, 3, 4. B, B, D, E, G, E, D, C, B, B, D, E, G, F. All right. So that's the first line. Now let's go on to the second line. The first measure of the second line, we have E, E, C, E. Let's just do that real quick. 2, ready, go. E, E, C, E. And then the next measure, we have G, E, D, C, which is the exact same as the first line. In fact, so is the third measure. And the fourth measure is only different on, instead of changing to F, we stay on the G. So let's go ahead and play that whole second line. 1, 2, second line, go. E, E, C, E, G, E, D, C, B, B, D, E, G, and now another G. Awesome. Let's play those two lines together. 1, 2, ready, go. B, B, D, E, G, E, D, C, B, B, D, E, G, to F. Next line. E, E, C, E, G, E, D, C, B, B, D, E, G, G. All right, now let's look at the third line. We have 4 Ds, 4 Cs, and then the last two measures are exactly the same as the last two measures of the second line. So let's just go ahead and play the third line. 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, B, B, D, E, G, G. All right, let's put all of those together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. B, B, D, E, G, E, D, C, B, B, D, E, G, to F, and E, E, C, E, G, E, D, C, B, B, D, E, G, G. Next line. D, 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 C, 2, 3, 4. B, B, D, E, Now let's talk about the chords. Okay, so on your screen, you'll see that we have these new bar chord shapes that are different than our open chord shapes that we had in our packet. What this is what we call movable chords, okay, or bar chords. And these two shapes are based on the E and A and the variations of those shapes. So in this case, what we're going to start is with the G7 chord. Before we get started with that, let's just talk about the shape, which it comes from the E7 shape. So to play the E7 shape, we need to have this in mind as well when we go to play these shapes, that we need to keep our first finger free. Because it's a bar chord, we need to emulate the nut, just like when we were talking about to be able to play F, okay? So just like being able to play F, we need to use the E shape, okay? Now, the difference between E and E7 is that you just have to lift up that pinky, okay? So, resulting in having your second finger on the third string, first fret, and your third finger on the fifth string of the second fret, okay? So that creates our E7. So just like that, we want to be able to make sure that we're training our hand, especially with this first finger on the nut. This is a great way to get your hand to stretch, get it nice and relaxed, and to get used to this chord. Now, keep in mind, because the frets are so much larger down there, it might be a little hard and it might be stressful on your hand. Just keep it nice and relaxed. You know, shake it off. This is great practice for watching TV, as I have said before. The closer it is to your face, the easier it's going to be on your forearms. If you find that your wrist and your forearm is getting too stressed out, that's one of those things. So as far as this chord is concerned, what we want to do is, after we get that shape really nice and comfortable, we're going to go ahead and take it up, okay? Now the first one would be F7. The next one would be F sharp 7, and then finally we get to G7, which is on the third fret. So your first finger is going to be streamed across, and remember that it goes right before the fret. We don't want it on top of the fret because it makes a buzzy noise. What we want is we want to have it right before the first fret, or the third fret in this case, okay? And you're emulating the nut just like you had here, okay? And then you're going to take your second finger on the third string of the fourth fret, and your third finger on the fifth string of the fifth fret, and this makes G7. Okay. Now, that being said, let's talk about the next shape that we're going to need. We're going to need the A7 shape. Okay, and this is based on A. And what we're going to do is, in order to play the A7 shape, what we need to do is we need to make it so that not only our first finger is free, but our middle finger, because it's going to be easier on our hands this way. Okay, because there's a fret in between when you go to play A, we want to make sure that that's accounted for. So first off, you're going to take your pinky, you're going to put it on the second string, second fret, and you're going to take your third finger and you're going to place it on the fourth string of the second fret, okay? And then place your first finger across like on the nut to get that extra practice, and then you're going to strum from the A string, the fifth string, down. And that makes the A7 shape. So now, once we get that comfortable, and again, you want to hold this for as long as you can, and just as a reminder, if you need to take the time to just practice, go ahead and pause the video and jump back in whenever you need to, okay? So, that being said, we have our A, and now, just like we could with the E shape, we can move it up. So we have A sharp, B7, and now to C7, okay? So what's great about this is in any blues formation, these are, we have the same pattern of what we call 1, 4, and 5. Now, what does that mean for us? What that means is that we take us in any major scale, we are going to take the chord based off of the 1 which in this case we're in G. That's our very first chord. So we have in G major 8 note sequences. And what we do is we make a chord out of it based off of its 1, 3, and 5. So in this case, 1, 3, 5. So G, B, and D. Okay? What the 7 does is it allows us to also play the flat 7 of the chord. So instead of this leading tone, we have a 7th on that. Now, all you have to know about that is that it just gives us a more bluesy sound. Okay? So we have G, B, D, and F to be played on top of this chord. So what we do is we play that, and just like our strings that are tuned in fourths from each other, which means that in this case, if we did an E major scale, to get to the next note above, it's a fourth. It's the fourth note of that scale. So E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Okay. So it just means that each string they're all fourths away from each other based on their own individual string. So because of that, we get to have this relationship just like with the E7 to the A7. We have a 1 chord to a 4 chord relationship. So they're always going to have that 1-4 relationship. Okay? So no matter where we do, as long as they're on the same fret, they're going to have that same sound. So in this case, we have G7 to C7. Okay? So if we look at blues, notice that we have G7 for 4 beats or 4 measures. So I'm just going to go ahead and play that as a rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. And then we go to the next line and it says C7. So I'm going to switch to C7 there. I'm going to start right there. 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it goes back to G7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it shows D7. Well, D7 in the blues formation acts as what we call as the 5. To get to the 5, what we do is we take the 4 chord of wherever we are. In this case, it's C7. And we're going to go up 2 frets to the 5th fret in this case. And that makes D7. Okay? So whenever you play a 5 chord, it's going to be up a string, up 2 frets from your 1. In this case, G7 to D7. Okay? So we're going to start on that D7 to the 3rd line. It goes for 1 measure, back to C7, which is your 4, and then back to your 1. Okay? So, if we were going to take this from the top in this blues progression, I'm going to go ahead and play it with the beat, and then you guys go ahead and join in when you feel ready. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Next line. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 to G7. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 to the 5 D7. To the 4, which is C7, back to G7. So, the whole point of that is if, say we decided to play a blues melody on a different, and we wanted to put it in a different key, say in B flat. So we're going to take it, and now our 1 is here on the 6th fret. get to our 4, we can do the A7 shape. In this case, would be E flat. Back to our 1. Okay? And then to get to our 5, we take the 4, go up 2 frets. Back to our 4. And then our 1 to finish it. And sometimes we like to go back to the 5.